first thing I'm going to ask you is I just want to do like a little reflection because I think it's important that we all reflect on our own performances. Can someone tell me something that you really enjoyed about the performance? It could be like, our dynamics were amazing, or we were really tight together on ensemble-wise, or someone. Give me something that you enjoyed about the performance. Yes?
For a lot of, for certain parts, our timing is really good, but we don't need anything else.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Anybody else? Something you liked about your performance? Yes.
For most of the pieces, we were really well done.
Really well blended. I agree with that too. Any other thoughts? Things you liked about the performance? This one is always a harder question. We'll put the next question you can ask. Okay, the next question I'm going to ask is, what could we improve about our performance? What do we think we could have done better? Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. So we could improve our dynamic range. Something else? Yes.
Note accuracy.
Note accuracy. Okay. That's one of those things, to be honest, like I was listening to you play and I didn't notice what I'm wrong about. So it's one of those things for you to know that sometimes you know something and the audience has no idea. So as long as you don't let them know with your face, that's it's a really important thing to remember if you want. Somebody in the back of your hand up.
Yeah, for the question, so there were parts where I was a bit off
Okay.
so that would be some.
Okay, that's good. That's good self-learning. So I think it's really important. We're all really good at telling ourselves what we could have done better, but it is important every time you do a performance to celebrate your victories as well. So doing this little debrief with yourself of like what went really well, yay, I did this well, and then also thinking of what can I improve and giving yourself instructions to improve that thing in a very positive way. My next question for you is, did anybody feel, would you say you felt nervous before your performance or during your performance? Hands up if you feel fear. Hi, if you feel nervous. Okay. How many people here would say they've experienced performance anxiety before? Okay, so like usual, everybody has their hands up. So my first question for you, and this is something that like I'm sharing with you because I wish I had learned it when I was your age. When you get nervous, what happens to you physiologically? So I'm not talking necessarily in your mind, but like you say your heart rate, breathing, physical symptoms. Put your hand up if you can tell me one of the things that happens to you when you get nervous. Yeah, in fact. Yes, so your heart rate increases. Okay, that's a really common one. Yep. Here. Shaky breath. Yes, so heart rate and breathing are very connected. Hands get sweaty. Any other ones? Those are like the pretty big ones. Yeah. Yeah, just like feeling kind of elevated. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Hands get cold, clammy, all that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. So now I have the same question. This is the thing that happens to a lot of us. I have a similar question for you. So what happens physiologically when you get excited? So imagine you're seeing your family, you haven't seen them after 3 years of a pandemic for the first time, or you're going to a surprise birthday party, or you're going on a date with somebody for the first time, or you get like a phone call or a text from somebody, well, you guys don't keep calls anymore, but you get a text from somebody you really like. What happens to you physiologically in those kinds of situations? I'm really excited. Yeah. Face breath, okay. Other things? What happens to your heart rate breathing in those kinds of situations? Yeah. They get faster. Other things? So basically what you said is kind of nailing it on the head, is that our heart rate and our breathing get faster when we're excited. And we just found out that our heart rate and our breathing get faster when we're nervous. So the physiological response, what happens in your body when you are excited and nervous, is exactly the same thing. So this is kind of like when I learned this, is a bit of a light bulb moment for me, is learning to reframe that feeling of like elevation, all of those physiological symptoms, heart beating faster, butterflies in your stomach. Sometimes we feel that as a great thing. So why is it that when we go into performance, we think of it as a negative thing that will hold us back? So I could spend hours talking to you about this, but it's something I wanted you to think about. Is like you're all here because, presumably, because you love music, because you wanted to do this. So what if we could take those feelings of a little bit of shakiness and elevated heart rate and sort of channel that energy into the performance, into enjoying music, and into enjoying this experience. So it's our thoughts, very much the way we think about these symptoms, that turn performance anxiety into performance excitement. So rather than, oh, I'm so nervous, what could go wrong? More of, I'm so excited for this opportunity. I'm excited to make music with my peers and to share it with audiences. So that's something that I want to leave you with to think about. There are lots of things we can do in the practice room and in our rehearsals that will support this. I'm going to touch on as many of those as I can in the next 15 minutes. I would love to do a little bit of work on crescent meadow. If you can all pull that one out. Here in rocker. Okay, so we want to maybe retune really quickly. I know we all move with our Okay. Good. So one of the main things, I think there's lots of really nice color happening in this piece. One of the things I think we have to think a little bit more about as musicians is being in the moment of what we're doing. So often we're looking ahead, which is a great habit to get into. We're looking ahead at key signatures, at tempo changes, technical passages that will be coming up. But sometimes that's at the expense of what we're actually doing right now, what we're playing into. So anytime we have, for example, like a hairpin that goes like this. Often what happens is, even though, I'm going to give you an example, let's say in the flutes at measure 8, the D on the downbeat of measure 8 is actually the most important note in the phrase. That's where we're going to. But often we crescendo up to it and then we kind of like let it die dynamically as we're already making it. So in general, I find that with phrasing, and that's something we can think about more, is actually making sure we're really going to the peak note before we come away. And I think that will help the ebb and flow a little bit more of your phrasing. It's often the slow music that's actually harder to create those contrasts. So if we take it from, let's just take it even from measure 7. Is that your tempo wise better? Okay. So I'll give you one bar. We're going for measure 7. And I want everybody who has melody, we also got the same kind of idea in the mouth percussion as well, really going to that downbeat of measure 8 before you come away from it. Like really show the audience, show the listener where the downbeat of the phrase is. Here we go. 3, 4. Okay, so here we went I'm exaggerating a bit, but the D is the more important. We're going to that downbeat. So give me more area in there. And forgive my terrible singing. Here we go. 3, 4. Very different phrase, same thing here. One is ya da 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 da. We really have to go and exaggerate that, otherwise the listener has no idea what you're trying to accomplish. Let's try it one more time for measure 7. I really want you to like just go for it. 3, 4. up close, what do they look like? Ridiculous, right? You see their face and you're like, oh my god, that is way too much. But the idea being that if you're looking at the person from this close, you're like, oh my god, that's way too much. If they're all the way over here, it just looks like a normal face. So the same concept applies to music. If you can barely hear the idea, or if it's really subtle up close to you, there's no way that anybody in the back row is going to hear what you're trying to accomplish. So it's really, really important that, of course, your director's going to suggest, when you're playing an ensemble, is going to suggest these ideas to you. You have to go at them like 150%. If you don't, it won't be clear to the listener. And I could tell from listening to you had lots of beautiful phrases already planned. I heard a lot of dynamics, which was really nice. We don't actually hear dynamics in these situations. But we just need more. And it's going to feel like too much, probably. But if it feels like too much up here, it's probably the right amount over there. So that stage makeup example, I think, is a really important one to carry through with you. Well, let's move on a little bit, do a little bit more of this piece. Okay. Can we pick up from 19 for now? So same thing, clarinet, same concept. You have that hairpin. Anytime you see this hairpin, really make sure that downbeat is the highlight, not the beat before. So here we go. I'll give you 2 beats in. 1, 2. One more time. So ya da 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 ya da da da. Really go for that. Right now I'm hearing 2 very separate phrases. It's one phrase. Go for that downbeat when we have it. 3, 4. One thing you could consider is actually flipping your flutes to the other side. Sometimes that can help projection. You know, something that Isabel Picasso is a big fan of, and I totally support. We have fewer flutes, have them like facing outwards, just to kind of deal with those like natural balance issues. But that means generally, if we've got all this sort of like dancey stuff happening in the upper winds, everybody else, I love how together you are. I love how tight everything is. I just need less of it. Everybody who's playing 8th notes, can you hear the flutes and clarinets? Can you hear them well? Can we try and hear them even better? Well, the piccolo is never a concern, and we're not going to hear piccolo. But yeah, I really love it. I love the articulation. I love again, the very, very together. You have a great blend. It's just the 8th notes are somewhat less important than what's happening in these little decorative bits. At the moment, you're all equally important in the ensemble in general, but at this particular moment, we want to hear more of this sort of like bouncy stuff. So a little less from everybody else. Let's take it from 29. And for those first 2 bars at 29:30, if you're somebody who has the 8th note, absolutely bring out those hairpins, really exaggerate it. But once you've done it once, we don't need to hear it at the same volume again. So come way back, flutes and oboe, clarinets. I think you can play a little bit more to sort of compensate for the numbers that we have. Let's go for 29. 3, 4. more exciting because it's starting to play music with other people. So anytime you're playing something, it's a really good question to ask yourself, am I really important right now? And if the answer is like not so much, can I be playing less to support everybody else? And you will kind of have to cope with this because you do have relatively few groups. The highest end is smaller in number than the rest of the band. So it's something to think about. I think in general, we probably play a little bit more. I'm biased because I'm clear, but I think that's really important. I would love to go very briefly to energy for our last 5 minutes. Okay.
There's someone I had never heard of before. Adrian Sims.
All right. So you've got a great hint for the title of this piece. Energy means we need a lot of energy to play it. And I think we had a good amount, but we need more. You really got to sell me on like, it's like you had 10 Red Bulls and you're so ready to just play this piece on.
We had to pull from other sections.
Okay. So in general, what I think we can use in this piece, and again, you'll get all your detailed comments in your recorded adjudications, is just more articulation, snappier articulation, more excitement from what you're doing. And the trick with a piece like this is when there's a lot of accents, and especially in professionals who have repeated figures with accents, we can get a little complacent once we've done it once, but we really have to keep the momentum going through, especially in a piece that literally is all about energy. So especially when it's at the end of your program too, it's thinking about like, how can I just tap into all the energy I have in my body and keep that excitement going from beginning to finish. Part of that is accents, so we'll get into that briefly as we go. Let's do it on the time. Okay.
Yeah.
3, 4. There's a really interesting study that they did a little while ago where they had 2 groups of people who were not musicians predict who won an opera competition that had already happened. And one group of people only had the video. So they couldn't hear anything. They could just see the competition that had already happened. And another group had both video and audio. And the group that had only the video was significantly more accurate in predicting the winner. So they couldn't even hear what happened, but they were more accurate in predicting the winner. And part of that is body language. So what we're doing physically really affects people's perceptions of our performance. So it's really important, if you love the piece, show me like, let's groove a little more. Let's have fun with it. And really punchy at the beginning, I think to the accents, yada, ba, 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 like, go for it. Here we go. Energy. 3, 4. Clarinets. Yeah, da, 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 da. Give me shape. I know that there's no hairpin written, but really clearly we can go to that downbeat and make it more interesting. Okay. Can we? We're gonna wrap up with this last phrase. Let's go from 7 one more time. I'm loving this energy and seeing a lot of dancing and expression happening. We're gonna keep that up. Here we go. Measure number 7. So clarinets, I really want to hear that shape for contrast when we get away from all this punchy rhythmic stuff. Everyone else, like hit me with those accents. Really give them to me. Okay. 2 beats and then bar 7. 3, 4. Enjoy your performance. Thank you.